Alright, so today I will be showing you how I do rosemary cutting. So I'm going to show you this. I think I started like a month to a month and a half ago. And can you see the roots? You can see some back there. That's why it's good to do clear containers as well. I actually came out and this was sticking out. So I think a bird or something tried to get at it. So I'm going to transplant this today. So let me transplant real quick and I'll do a quick demonstration on how I did these cuttings. So for the transplant, for success, I realized you have to kind of baby it a little. Wait, I just have some seed starting mix because I don't have any compost right now. But if you have compost, that is ideal. So I'm doing these cuttings to make topiaries. So wait, let me get some water. So the seed starting mix, actually, I don't think this one has any nutrients in it, so I would have to use like Miracle Grow or some kind of fertilizer for it. Okay, so the variety that are these is Tuscan Blue Rosemary, and online it said it's hardy to zone 8, but I am in zone 7, which is lower, meaning it gets colder here. So for the transplant, I'm just going to keep everything. Oh, you see how it's still dry here? Hold on. Can you see that? It's still kind of wet. I mean dry. So let me get a solo cup and I'll add some water to it so that it can soak the water from the bottom up. Okay, let me get some water. So it's late May. I believe today's the 25th. Okay, so here I have some water. And I had these, I'm just going to soak it like that. And just spray the top a little more. Okay, we'll leave it over there. And these, I'm not sure if I want to transplant all of them. You see how, like, if you ever use potting mix, this one has sphagnum moss, peat moss, and vermiculite in it. You see how it's like, I don't have any, like I said before, I didn't have compost or garden soil. And I don't want to run out and get it, so I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to just stake this up because I'm doing these rosemary cuttings for topiary, so I'm going to tie this later. Yeah, this is taking too long. Let me just put it out in the tray. This is my first time with this seed starting mix. And I'm realizing it's just literally just like cocoa core, where there's not really any nutrients in it. And it is, and you gotta like wet it to really get it. So I'm actually gonna do a little experiment. I've heard that people say terracotta plants is better. I mean, terracotta pots are better for plants. But I wonder if that's really true. So I'm going to do one plastic pot and one terracotta. So we'll see. I'll see if I notice any noticeable difference between the two. Actually, I'm gonna see if I have any soil. Maybe I should mix some soil with this. Um, just have it a little grittier. Okay. But this is just regular garden soil. That I dug up. Because what I do is sometimes I do compost in place in certain areas. So certain areas are good, and I would get the good soil from there from some of my pots. So this was started, I believe, like sometime in April, and now it's late May. So it's been like at least a month to a month and a half. Oh, look at these roots. So this is the, I think it grew some. So you know what? I think I'm gonna have this in its own one, like these. Because these I'm gonna have as my topiaries. So let me find another one that I could use. As you can tell, it gets messy. No, Bernard. He's putting his hand in the mix. Hey, no, 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 daddy. So I'm gonna have this here for in the future if I wanted. Here, let's push it in. There. And then I need to find a stake for these. Okay, there. It's pretty simple. And then let's check out the roots on these. So these were tinier cuttings. I think from they grew a little taller. They're a little stretch. I had it in the shed. It has a little window. Had this in the shed. So let's check out the roots on these. Oh, it's actually not that. You see? So in the past, when I do transplant, I thought, oh, it's strong enough. I used to have these fig transplant. I just put it out right in the open sun and even forgot to water it sometimes. That's something you should not do because they're still like little babies. I guess you can think of cuttings like little toddlers. So you want to try to get keep them watered. So you want to keep them watered and a little protected. Just keep an eye on it. You can tell if it's getting too much sun, if it's like wilting a little. Oh, oh, look at this one. Can you see that? So I'm just gonna have these in here. And just make sure I press it in. Some people don't really press in their plants. I do. I feel like it's more secured. Okay, so that's one, and then let's do this one. You just press it in, because if you notice, when you buy stuff at the nursery or like at big box stores like Home Depot, look at how they have their plants. Those are cuttings. Here, I'll show you an example real quick. See, this is a stevia. It's a stevia plant I have, and just look at the material. I think this is probably peat moss or something. So just observe how the big box stores are doing things. And then you can get ideas for how to do things yourself and see, oh, if they could do it like that, I could probably do it like that. Why not, right? And you can always look on YouTube. Oh, look at this one. See those roots? So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with all of these yet because this is Tuscan Blue and it's not supposed to be hardy outdoors. Okay, now that we potted these up, let's move on to how I got these cuttings. So what I used was, I believe this was seed starting mix. And let me show you these. This one is pure coconut core. And this variety is, I think it was Salem. So this one's Salem. It's supposed to be hardy to 6 and 10. And well, let's start from the beginning. Where can you get a rosemary plant to get a cutting from? Well, the thing is, you can also start from seed, which, oh, you know what? Let me show you the one I started. Okay, I brought it over. So obviously some of these are not rosemary, but this one is. And I actually started a bunch and only one came up. And when I researched it, they did say it's a little harder to start. But this took, I think, 3 months, at least 3 months to get to the size, at least for me. I probably need to fertilize these. But yeah, so you could start it from seed, but you want faster results, you want to get a plant. So I got this one. This is Tuscan Blue from a local nursery because I wanted to be able to know the variety. And if you get it at certain big box stores like Home Depot, you might not know the variety. They don't really say, they say rosemary, and it's a hit or miss. My friend also got hers from Trader Joe, and we're in zone 7. So hers been surviving and it's huge. She has it outdoor. So it's a hit or miss, but if you want to be really sure that it survives the winter, get a hardy one, which is what I did. I got this one, is Salem, and it said it's supposed to be hardy to 6 to 10. So that's this cutting that I did. I actually did the cutting, I think maybe this size, around this size, and it started to grow, and it's in 100% cocoa core. And I did use rooting hormone, which is this one. I think I just got this at either Amazon or Home Depot. And I believe rooting hormone is optional, but I believe it also does speed it up. But I would need to do more experiments to know. But for these, I did use rooting hormones. But for my other cuttings, like in-ground cuttings I've done, I did not use rooting hormone, and they came up too. If you check out my other hydrangea and rose cutting video, those were done without rooting hormone. But for these, since I have it, I used it. So this one, I was going to show you, I stopped watering it, but these failed. So it failed because I took it out of its humidity tent that I had it in. And from then on, it just didn't do well. So starting off, you want to make sure you control how much moisture it is. And if it's too wet, they also rot and die. So let me just take these out. This is just like a blueberry container. Let me use this one. They were doing well, but then I took it out and I guess it wasn't ready. So if you're just starting with this, always try to be safe. Oh, this one here, let me just use this one. So when I do this, I don't like using my gloves because it'll also get wet. As you can see, this is my style of doing things. Okay. Oh, I need to clean my hands so I can open the jar. So I'm going to just do a quick demonstration on how I did it. Okay, so also I just want to show you another example before I do the demonstration. These are other ones, and you can see this one rotted. So, and some of them rotted as well. You see, this one is how big it was. Some of them are smaller. I don't know why it is rotting. It looks like the smaller ones are versus the bigger ones. So, but then the other one I had over here previously were bigger cuttings too. So I'm not sure what is going on with it, but I found that if you keep the humidity, like keep it kind of moist, but not the soil not too wet, it tends to be more successful. So I just put some rooting hormone out, and because I have so much rosemary, it would just be a waste if I just do more, and I don't know what I would do with it. So if you would excuse me, I will be showing the demonstration with stevia. So this is the plant I just got. So I am gonna do the cuttings with this, and it's just the same process pretty much. Here, just for the sake of showing you. You see how this is right here? If you do a rosemary, you can just, because this is gonna be my topiary, you pluck it off like that. And then you strip the bottom leaves like this. I usually try to wet it so that it's easier. And then you dip it like that, and then make a hole, and then you put it in. There. That is a cutting. Oh, this is getting really wet. So now I'm going to do the demonstration with... I'm going to do another demonstration with the stevia, and you can get the gist. Basically, you want to get it at these junctures called nodes. So if I do it, I would do it right here. But I want to keep the plant so that it doesn't look ugly. And then you get the leaf off. So ideally, you would expect roots to grow around this area. From my experience with other plants, sometimes you just don't know. They just grow. And especially since this is hairy, I wonder if it grow here. So I'm just going to cut this down right here. I seen another video where they said for rosemary, he just cut it right under the node, which is where I pluck the leaves off. But for me, I just want to leave a little end there and wet it. What some people do is they also wound it, meaning they just cut and scrape at it. I'm just going to get some more leaves off there. And then let's do another one. So once more, you want to get it like right here. This is the nodes. Oop. You want to strip off there. I just get this a little wet. Now some people might be like, oh, the bacteria from the soil, you might get it on the plant. Well, there's good and bad bacteria, and if you think about it, certain plants would root if you put it on the ground. Like, you know how some people say if you put like let's say a hydrangea, for instance, if you put the plant underground, it would just root if it's exposed to soil and it's moist. Okay, so then let's get one more because I'm going to transplant this today. So let's do this one here. I'm just going to wet it. You can try to keep as sterile as you want, but for me, I'm not too concerned with it. Okay. So this is what I did for my rosemary, and then what I did was I had it in a container because I had a bunch of other cuttings. Oh, I should have done that to my stevia. I could have used those leaves. So what I had was I had them in this container. It's like I think this was just a salad container, and it keep the humidity in. But this is kind of big for this for now, but this is what it looked like. That's why you see some of them are a little squish. Like, See how this is that side because this was squishing on the top. I'm actually just going to get a plastic bag and cover it like a little humidity dome. Actually, let me show you that too. Okay, so I found a bag. So what I'm going to do is just have it over it like this. And I'm just going to have it in the shed. It doesn't really need light right now. And what I did every day for it was actually mist it like this. And then it should root. And then, like, give it some time. And as long as it's still green, it should be good. And you can check the soil. Try to use, if it's your first time, try to use a plastic container so you can see the roots. Because it depends on the variety, but I noticed some variety like hydrangeas would show new leaf, but they have 0 roots. So it could be misleading. If there's growth, you might think there's roots, but there's not. And another way that you could do rootings, which I've seen people do, is with using water. I have not had success with it, but I know some people can do it, and I think it's maybe the water quality. Maybe they're using rainwater. What's another type? Well water. My friend has well water, and she's able to root her cuttings. You just don't know. You just got to experiment. But see, like, for example, this is a Vietnamese herb, and I bought it to eat with egg. You see it's rooting, and I just have it. This is in plain tap water. My water's hard, but it roots. So it just depends on the variety. Sometimes it just will root for you, and sometimes it doesn't. You can just experiment and figure it out, and just keep trying. I'm terrible with cuttings, but I've had a lot more success by just experimenting and seeing what works, and seeing how diligent you are with watering and controlling the moisture. If you're new, you probably could try in ground, meaning you just take the cutting like how I showed you and stick it in the ground, and just you can water it anytime you want, or at least just keep it moist, like touch the soil. And because it's outside, it won't be overwatered, because that's how I killed a lot of my cuttings, is by overwatering it. So I'm just gonna have it out. So let me show you another example of what I was saying when I said in ground. So this is a sage that I popped down, and it's flowering again. So before, you see here, I clipped it to stop it from flowering, but it looked like it's flowering again. So it must like this area. It's under my blueberry tree or bush. And this is also a cutting that I did in ground, just stick in the ground. For example, these over here, this one is another spirea that I stuck in the ground. I actually stuck a whole bunch and only one came up. And technically I didn't really water it. So some plants are just easier to root than others. But from what you saw there, in my experience with rosemary so far, it is pretty easy to root. So in summary, your cuttings can fail if it doesn't get water, but it can also fail if you give it too much water. So just experiment. And that is it for how I transplant and started my cuttings. I hope that helps, and good luck. And if it doesn't work, just keep trying. You'll get it eventually. It's all in getting the right level of humility for it to get going, and some luck. But the more you do it, the luckier you'll get. And if you found my video helpful, please give it a like so other people can find it. And if you want to follow my family's garden journey, please subscribe. Until next time, bye.